Yo, YouTube, what's going on? It's your boy Salvation's Elite. We are back with another video, guys. And today, man, we're doing hardpoint spawns and talking about how to dominate and control a map like the pros. Today, we're doing it on Gunrunner, kind of the start of the new series this year. We did this last year. We're going to change up some of the things from last year and talk more map-to-map specific in-depth dives into the maps and how you actually play them to dominate on hardpoint. So first of all, thanks so much for all the support on the previous few videos here. I've been really hyped to see the success of some of them, and of course this means a lot to me to see all the support and everything else. I tweeted about that last night, about just overall support and just my gratitude for that. So again, I always truly do appreciate it. But today, I mean, hardpoint on Gunrunner is interesting. I mean, when you're watching this map or playing this map, some of the hills can feel really confusing. It can feel chaotic because the spawns can get a little weird. They're unconventional compared to a lot of other maps in past Call of Duties, where no matter where the hardpoint is if you have control of the hardpoint, you're spawning behind. But in this map, you're actually spawning off to the side most of the time and having to run back to the hardpoint to try to go and take control of it. So it does feel a little bit weird sometimes, and that's why I think a lot of people can struggle getting used to some of these maps and playing hardpoint in this game because of the differences in how the spawns work compared to past Call of Duties. Basically, we're gonna go hardpoint by hardpoint, and then I'm gonna talk about a few things I've seen the pros do on Gunrunner that relate to the spawns and how you can slow down the map in your head, get a better grasp of it, and really dominate a map like the pros. So here's the first hill and its spawn. So all we need to know off the rip here, big white boxes are the most common spawns, or the ones that you're going to see the most, and then the light blue, like turquoisey, smaller boxes are the ones that are a little bit less common or uncommon spawns. I tried to make them so like the bigger the box, the more common they are for the most part. Obviously, this isn't some like scientific down to the T thing, but I'm trying to give you a good visual representation of how common some of these spawns are. So this is what we got on the first hill. So basically, if you start spawning on the left side of the map, you're spawning in back coal for the most part, and if you're spawning on the right side of the map, you're spawning outside a warehouse to the right side, way back behind blue. And so those are kind of like the two contrasting spawns. So for the most part, the first hill is pretty normal, pretty predictable, because if you're spawning on one side, they're gonna be spawning on the exact opposite side. The other boxes usually happened on the rotation, so either at the beginning of the hill coming off of the 5th hard point, or at the end of the hill going into the 2nd hard point, generally when you get the weirder spawns. But for the most part, when you're in the middle of this hill's countdown, then you're going to probably be spawning in those two areas of the map, depending on what side of the map you have control of. Obviously, that first hill is a pretty tough hill to hold for a lot of time because the hard point is so exposed and can be shot from so many different areas. Don't worry about if you don't get too much time on this hill. The biggest thing is rotating and getting some map control for the 2nd hill. But at the same time, the 2nd hill is no easy monster. So check this out. So of course, the 2nd hard point has some pretty crazy spawns, and so like I said, you're not spawning behind the hard point in any case here. You're always spawning off to the sides no matter who has control. And so basically, though, there's some weird quirks with the spawns here. So as you guys can see, bottom blue crates area, you can spawn there, but what's weird is that if there's an opposing teammate in bathrooms, you can still spawn in blue crates. And so there were some moments in the games where I was watching where they literally spawned blue crates and within like 2 or 3 seconds got spawn killed by the guy inside bathrooms. You do have to be a little bit weary of that. I would recommend if you spawn in the farthest back area of blue crates, then you wrap into bathrooms to rush into hill, because it would just help your team clear out that area. And if your team's spawning blue crates, that means the other team is basically for sure spawning at the top of the map, probably back behind secret in stairs, or spawning at the top of the map by rails somewhere. It was definitely a little inconsistent for when those spawns came through, and so I would probably need to watch more maps to get a good feel for why and when exactly that's happening. But at the end of the day, sometimes you'll spawn a little bit closer to the hill, sometimes you won't, depending on how far up the opposing team is pushed. There's just some weird variations, but 100%, again, the weirdest thing was that you would spawn blue crates and there could be somebody literally sitting in the bathroom door. And overall, just like hill 1, it can get pretty difficult to hold. It's very chaotic, and so as a team, you have to be very communicative about defending rails, taking control of bathrooms, and having the ARs watch the long lines of sight from the back and the front of warehouse, while the SMGs play inside warehouse, watching the doors and windows. That's probably the best way to defend this hill. Transitioning to the 3rd hill. Again, this hill has some pretty weird spawns as well. There are a few areas like you guys are seeing here where there's very consistent spawns. So what makes this hill really interesting is that the team on the left side or the right side could potentially have full control of this hill and get a full 60 seconds. So the team who has control of the right side of the map can spawn trap you in the back of the map. They can basically fire squad you in rails, and then they can just watch through mid, and they're gonna lock down the whole hill. So both sides of the hill can be a money hill, which is really interesting and kind of rare for a lot of hard points. But again, you do have to be very aware of the kind of weird spawns that you can get at certain points. And again, some of these are because of the rotation times. Again, that's usually when the most inconsistent spawns happen, is in the first 10 seconds of the hill and the last 10 seconds of the hill. But you do get some spawns out by crates, by bathrooms, out by generator, and then at the back of the spawn by like AC as well. So there definitely are some weird ones. If you aren't spawning directly behind stairs, and if you're spawning more near B-bomb, there's a pretty good chance that somebody's inside pipes, and so you do have to be pretty aware of that. If the team on the right side of the map has a lot of map control and they're pushing up towards pipes, then they'll for sure be spawning back by stairs. Otherwise, if you're losing a lot of map control, you'll probably spawn farther back, and that's usually when teams get into a lot of problems on this third hill. So then with the fourth hard point, again, there's some pretty weird spawns, but there are some very consistent big spawns that you get most of the time. So again, the white box is the ones that you need to pay attention to the most. And on the left side of the map, a very consistent spawn was right behind truck. You spawn right there, and you move up towards the fourth hard point. On the right side of the map, there were some kind of weird ones, but they're all generally in the same area, you know, back there behind A-bomb or whatever. But basically, if you're spawning back below generator, to the right side of the generator, or on A-bomb, then it's a pretty normal setup from the other team. If they're pushed up a little bit, maybe they're pushed out towards coal, try to hold the flank or something else, then maybe you'll spawn a little bit farther back or farther out on the edge of the map a little bit. So overall, this hill is pretty predictable, where the team on the right side will be pretty tempted to hit the flank and push towards coal, and it can be really effective if they're able to get coal control, because they can watch that line of sight back behind green like you guys are seeing here and actually control a lot of this map and really help control the hard point. So that is something to be wary about if you're spawning on the left side of the map. That is that you do need to pay attention to that coal control and just make sure your flank isn't getting absolutely destroyed over there. So hill 5 had some weird spawns, to say the least. So basically, if you're controlling the bottom half of the map, you're going to be spawning back by crates or generator or back behind rock. And there was also, I think there was also a spawn like back behind crates as well. I don't know why I didn't mark it, but that was definitely there. And so it was very consistent that you would spawn down there, but it was very inconsistent about where you would spawn down there. And I put basically the 3 most common areas, but there was a few spots where it's just like one time per map where someone would just pop up back behind crates or something else. And so I kept the main 3 areas where people spawn. Again, it's very consistent. The team that controls the top side of the map always spawns inside coal, and then the team that controls the bottom of the map spawns generator / rock / crates. There were like 2 or 3 spawns where they had really big map control, and so they actually spawned inside the hill. Those are of course really weird and really rare. You have to have pretty big map control for that to actually happen. Not very common, but I did decide to throw it in there because it is technically possible. So it is just really important to know that, like, you know, when these guys are spawning through, they're going to be very commonly coming out through pipes, potentially coming through water, and then of course coming through coal and pushing that side of the warehouse. So at the end of the day, this map really comes down to how you use your tacticals and then how you push together as a team, because what happens with this map is both teams kind of spawn out a lot of the time. The quote-unquote dominant spawns aren't as dominant as some maps in the past Call of Duties or even other maps on this game, and so you really have to communicate with your team about what areas of the map aren't being watched, what lines of sight you guys need to cover, and how you can get each other's trades and set up on these hills to eliminate the team one by one. And that really is how you win this map. And of course, that's important throughout all themes of Hardpoint and Call of Duty as a whole, but like, I think this map really emphasizes that because of how the spawns play. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I would really appreciate the support and would encourage me to do more of the spawn series. If you guys want to see the rest of the maps, drop a comment, drop a like, and let me know if you guys loved it. So of course, like, comment, favorite, subscribe if you guys enjoyed the video. And as always, I'm your voice of Asian Elite, and we'll see you next time. I'm out.